It was 11:47 p.m. in the Gulf of Oman, and the water between the Iranian coast and the Omani shore was black and warm and running in the long swells that come through the Strait of Hormuz from the Arabian Sea. Smooth, deep swells, 2 meters, the kind that a large vessel absorbs without comment and a small vessel feels in every weld. The Gulf of Oman is not as enclosed as the Persian Gulf to the northwest, but it is not open ocean either. The Iranian coast was 68 nautical miles to the north. The shipping lanes ran northeast to southwest along the corridor that the International Maritime Organization's Traffic Separation Scheme designates through these waters. On any given night, the surface radar picture shows dozens of commercial vessels, tankers, container ships, bulk carriers, LNG carriers, moving their cargo through the strait that connects the Persian Gulf's oil fields to the global market. Among those contacts, on this particular night, were 3 military Sea Lift Command cargo vessels and 2 contracted fuel tankers moving in a loose group on a northeast, heading toward the strait, inbound for Gulf ports with equipment and supplies for American forces in the region. Logistics Convoy Delta 7. 5 vessels, civilian crewed, unarmed, carrying the material that sustained American military presence in the theater. Not glamorous, not the kind of mission that features in recruitment videos, but the logistical spine without which no carrier strike group, no airbase, no forward operating location stays operational for more than a few weeks. USS Gonzalez, DDG-66, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, was positioned 4.5 nautical miles ahead of Convoy Delta 7. Her AN/SPY-1 DV radar painted the entire Gulf of Oman surface picture, and her crew at the modified readiness posture appropriate for convoy escort duty in a threat environment that 4 months of IRGC activity in the strait had established as genuinely elevated. The Gonzalez was not operating alone. USS Nizza, DDG-94, held position 6 nautical miles astern of the convoy, and above the Gulf of Oman at 22,000 feet, an MQ-9 Reaper from the 62nd Expeditionary Reconnaissance Squadron at Al Dhafra. Air Base in the UAE was maintaining persistent infrared surveillance of IRGC fast patrol craft bases at Bandar Abbas and Jask. The continuous coverage posture that CTF-53 in Bahrain had established as standard procedure for high-traffic maritime security nights. The Peykap, the IRGC Navy's fast-inshore attack craft, approximately 12 meters in length, displacing around 6 tons, capable of speeds up to 60 knots in calm water, armed with 107mm unguided rockets, 12.7mm heavy machine guns, and, in versions fielded since 2018, domestically produced anti-ship rockets with ranges of 3 to 5 nautical miles. The Peykap is the IRGC Navy's swarming weapon. Small, cheap, fast, designed to be employed in numbers. The individual vessel's limited weapons capability is offset by the tactical effect of a large number of fast, maneuvering small craft approaching from multiple directions simultaneously. The IRGC has hundreds of them. Their doctrine envisions simultaneous attacks from multiple vectors, presenting more targeting solutions than a single defending vessel can engage before some reach weapons employment range. Against an unescorted tanker, a Peykap swarm is credible and dangerous. Against USS Gonzalez, with an MQ-9 overhead and 2 Seahawks on deck, it was about to become the most expensive lesson the IRGC's fast boat force had received in years. At 11:31 p.m., 16 minutes before this story's opening moment, the MQ-9 Reaper's infrared sensor registered a thermal event near Jask Naval Base. the heat signatures of multiple small outboard motors starting simultaneously in the base's inner harbor. The Reaper crew at Al Dhafra characterized the event within 4 minutes. Multiple Peykap-class fast inshore attack craft departing Jask at high speed on a south-southwest heading. No running lights, the departure signature associated with IRGC covert maritime operations. Contact count at 11:35 p.m., 8 craft. By 11:37 p.m., as the formation spread and accelerated, 11. Then 14. 14 Peykap fast attack craft. South-southwest from Jask at 55 knots, lights out, bearing toward the shipping lanes. The Reaper crew transmitted the contact report to CTF-53 at 11:36 p.m. CTF-53 pushed it to the Gulf of Oman Maritime Security Force net at 11:37 p.m. USS Gonzalez's TAO had 14 inbound contacts, bearing north, range 44 nautical miles, speed 55 knots on his display at 11:38 p.m. At 55 knots, 44 nautical miles translated to approximately 29 minutes before the lead Peykaps reached the convoy's position. 29 minutes. The Gonzalez's commanding officer was in the CIC at 11:40 p.m. He assessed the picture. 14 Peykaps at 44 nautical miles, 29 minutes to convoy position, approaching from the north. USS Nitsa astern. MQ-9 overhead with continuous infrared coverage. And the convoy, 5 unarmed civilian crewed vessels whose protection was the entire purpose of his ship's presence in the Gulf of Oman this night. He directed the convoy to increase to maximum speed and execute the evasion course the operational plan prescribed. A turn to the south, away from the inbound bearing, buying additional time and range, and authorized the engagement posture that the rules of engagement for maritime security operations in the Gulf of Oman permitted against vessels displaying hostile intent through their approach profile, speed, lights out operation, and departure from a known IRGC naval facility on a bearing toward Allied vessels. At 11:41 p.m., USS Gonzalez launched her 2 MH-60R Seahawks helicopters, both airborne within 7 minutes, climbing to 1,500 feet and turning north. Armed with AGM-114 Hellfire missiles and M240 door guns. At 1,500 feet with their AN/A PS-147 multimode radar and FLIR infrared sensors active, the crews had their own independent picture of the Peykap formation within 3 minutes. What the Seahawk crews saw at 11:49 p.m., 22 nautical miles north of the convoy, 14 fast-moving infrared signatures spread across approximately 3 nautical miles of sea surface, each a distinct heat point from an outboard engine at high RPM, each moving at 55 knots on a closing bearing. The formation was not random. The IRGC had organized the attack into 3 groups: a lead element of 5 craft as the first wave, a flanking element of 4 craft angling from the northwest, and a reserve element of 5 craft positioned to exploit any gap created by the defending forces' engagement of the first 2 elements. Genuine tactical thought. The multi-bearing problem that Peykap doctrine prescribes. The lead Seahawk pilot made his targeting decision within 40 seconds of achieving his sensor picture. Engagement authorization confirmed. First Hellfire fired at 11:50 p.m. Targeted against the lead vessel in the 5-craft first wave. The AGM-114 Hellfire carries a 9-kilogram shaped charge warhead designed for armored vehicle penetration. Against a 6-ton fiberglass-hulled fast attack craft, the warhead is what engineers describe as significantly overpowered for the target. The missile covered the distance from the Seahawks weapons station to the lead Peykap's hull in 4.1 seconds. The Peykap ceased to exist as a coherent vessel in approximately the time it takes to snap your fingers. Second Hellfire, second contact in the lead element. Third and fourth in rapid succession, the crew working through the lead element's vessels with the laser designator slewing from target to target. The efficiency of a crew that had trained this employment sequence hundreds of times. 4 of 5 lead element Peykaps neutralized in 50 seconds. The fifth broke right and turned northeast, back toward Iran. The second Seahawk engaged the flanking element. The 4 Peykaps from the northwest were targeted in the same Hellfire sequence. First contact acquired at 11:51 p.m. 3 engaged and neutralized in 65 seconds. The fourth broke left and turned north. The reserve element, 5 craft as the Tactical Exploitation Force, began their acceleration when the first 2 elements were engaged, exactly as IRGC doctrine prescribed. The reserve was supposed to reach weapons employment range, while the defending helicopters were re-engaging after their first pass. The tactical logic was sound. The problem was that both Seahawks were working 2 elements simultaneously, not sequentially. There was no window. There was no gap. The reserve element's 5 Peykaps came under Hellfire engagement at 11:53 p.m. 3 neutralized. The fourth and fifth, with 3 formation members destroyed in 20 seconds and 2 armed helicopters between them and the convoy with missiles remaining, turned north at maximum speed. USS Gonzalez engaged the 2 withdrawing reserve element Peykaps with her Mk-45 5-inch gun mount at 11:54 p.m. at ranges of 8,400 and 9,100 yards. The fire control system, tracking both contacts through the data link carrying the Reaper's continuous infrared picture, computed solutions in automated mode. 2 rounds per contact, aimed at the engine compartment. Both Peykaps incapacitated. Fiberglass hulls float even without propulsion. Neither was a mobile threat anymore. The 2 Peykaps that had broken from the lead and flanking elements, 1 northeast, 1 north, were now 8 nautical miles from the convoy and opening. The Seahawks coordinated with the Gonzalez, both assessed as no longer threatening. Pursuing them beyond the convoy's protective envelope with reduced weapons load was not prudent. Both helicopters turned south and returned to station, remaining Hellfires retained. 12 of 14 Peykap fast attack craft neutralized or incapacitated. 2 withdrew under their own power. None of the 14 had reached a range from the convoy at which their 107mm rockets or anti-ship rockets could have been employed against any of the 5 civilian vessels. The closest any Peykap reached to the convoy, 14.3 nautical miles, the lead element's closest vessel at the moment of first Hellfire engagement. The convoy had executed its evasion turn and was 18 nautical miles south of the original position, continuing its transit. At first light, the Gonzalez dispatched a boarding team by rigid hull inflatable boat to assess the 2 incapacitated Peykaps drifting in the Gulf of Oman. Both vessels inoperable. Weapons configurations documented. 107mm rocket launchers and fixed forward-firing mounts. Anti-ship rocket launchers with 2 rockets per vessel in ready configuration. 12.7mm DSHK heavy machine guns on pedestal mounts, and the GPS navigation hardware that intelligence analysts would spend the next 3 weeks examining. The IRGC crews had been recovered by a 3rd Iranian craft under civilian AIS identification before the boarding team arrived. The vessels, with weapons and equipment intact, remained for American intelligence recovery. The GPS navigation hardware carried an encrypted waypoint file that, when decrypted, revealed the specific coordinates of the convoy's projected position at 11:57 p.m. The intended engagement time the IRGC had calculated for first rocket employment against the lead convoy vessel. Accurate intelligence on the target's route and timing. The failure was not in their knowledge of the target. It was in their knowledge of what was protecting it. The MQ-9 Reaper coverage had not been in the IRGC's operational assessment of the Gulf of Oman maritime security posture. The persistent infrared surveillance that detected the Jask departure 16 minutes before the Peykaps were within surface radar range converted the IRGC's planned surprise into a tracked, reported, and responded to contact before the boats were halfway across the Gulf of Oman. Let us be exact about what the Reaper's early detection meant tactically, because it is the single variable that determined the outcome before the first helicopter left the Gonzalez's deck. The Peykap swarm doctrine depends on surprise and compressed reaction time. At 55 knots from 44 nautical miles, 29 minutes is a tight but workable window for an attacking force that believes the defender does not know it is coming until the boats reach surface radar range. Approximately 12 to 15 nautical miles against a Peykap in the Gulf of Oman's sea clutter environment. 12 to 15 nautical miles at 55 knots is 8 to 10 minutes of reaction time. 8 to 10 minutes is not enough to launch helicopters, coordinate engagement plans, maneuver the convoy, and complete Hellfire targeting sequences. 8 to 10 minutes is barely enough to sound general quarters and man the weapon stations. 29 minutes is enough for everything. The Reaper converted the IRGC's planned 8 to 10 minute reaction window into 29 minutes by detecting the Jask departure 16 minutes before the boats reached any surface radar horizon. 16 minutes of early warning was the margin between a surprised convoy and a protected one. The Peykap doctrine's entire operational logic depended on that detection gap remaining open. The MQ-9 closed it, permanently, as long as the Reaper keeps its orbit above the Gulf of Oman. Convoy Delta 7 completed its transit of the Strait of Hormuz at 6:44 a.m. All 5 vessels entered the Persian Gulf with full crews, full cargo, and no damage. The supplies were offloaded at designated ports and moved forward to the units that needed them. The logistics chain remained unbroken. 14 Peykaps sortied. 12 neutralized or incapacitated. 2 withdrew. 0 rockets fired at any civilian vessel. 0 impacts. The Gulf of Oman remains a maritime security corridor, and the doctrine that makes it so, a Reaper above, Seahawks on deck, and an Arleigh Burke whose commanding officer is willing to use every weapon he has before a single civilian ship is touched, was validated this night with completeness that the IRGC's fast boat force commanders would be studying for a long time. The Reaper was already back on station by dawn, watching the Jask base for the next sortie. Bye for now.